Hello. Is my audio working? There we go. Hopefully my microphone is working now. Hello everybody. Welcome to the stream again. Just checking that everything is working okay. Can you hear me all right? And hopefully there's no music playing. Is that correct? Let me know if that's correct. And if that's all good, if you can hear me okay, and there's no music, then I think we're all good. I think we're good. Hello, here with my work hubby. Here with my work, comma, hubby is making me a sandwich, bless him. Yay, we love supportive husbands. Who remembers sausage rolls being delivered yesterday? Not yesterday, sorry, last week. I'm not going to get any sausage rolls this week. That's fine. I can't have sausage rolls every week. That's fine. Can hear you fine, no music. Awesome, yay, thank you. Thanks very much for letting me know about that. I'm still very new to streaming. And I'm sure I'll get a little bit more professional as I go. Have you noticed that we've got the cat cam overlay? I did a little cute overlay on Canva for the cat cam. Stanley is still not in his bed. He may come at some point and actually get into his bed, and then we can actually have a cat camera. But for now, we'll just have to have the empty bed, and hopefully he'll come and hang out with us at some point. Hi Gotham Whimsy, hello Lyrical Alchemist, lovely to see you both. Thank you for coming again after last week. What are you both working on this week? What are you going to be working on? I am doing some more work on the novel. I have got, I think I said this last week, so apologies if I'm repeating myself, but I am in a writing group and we meet once a month, and we're meeting next Saturday, and I've got to present, I think, 3,000 to 4,000 words of my work. I've got to send it over by the end of today, and then everybody reads it at home separately. And then when we come into the course or into the group on Saturday afternoon next weekend, everyone will have already read it, and then they can feed back on my work. So I really want to do like some final edits and stuff to that so I can send it over. Oh, snake cam. Oh, I love snakes. Oh, I love snakes. I would definitely be up for a snake cam. Yeah, I have two projects to choose from. Yes, Tudor-inspired fantasy or a multi-timeline contemporary I'm secretly writing for my daughter. Wow. First of all, I think that's amazing. Like writing a story for your daughter, that is so sweet. And a multi-timeline contemporary sounds really interesting as well. So what kind of thing will you be working on today? Is it like plotting, character development, or are you just kind of mulling them all over, or are you editing? What kind of work are you doing? We have a tortoise called Shelley. That's brilliant. Classic name. I want a cam called Shelley Vision. Yeah, 100%. My sister had a camera for her dogs when she was at home, but I think I might be misremembering this now, but I'm sure she said that they had to stop using it because I think either the dogs were getting too upset or she was getting a bit upset at being able to see them at home on their own and she wasn't with them. So this week, book 3 of my trilogy. I killed off a major character, did the funeral as you do, then brought him back in a dream, then as a ghost. Fun times. That's amazing. That's what I love about writing, is the ability to do that kind of thing, to play around with that. I think that's, yeah, it's that killed off a character as you do. I remember doing that. So in the Lighthouse novel, one of the characters dies. It's like the main death that causes him to haunt the main character. And I remember I'd written his story. I was writing it linearly, in a linear way. And so I'd written, all of his story, this, that, and the other. And he got to the point where I had to kill him. And I genuinely mourned him. Like, I remember writing his death and then going to bed and saying to Tom, I feel really actually quite grief-stricken that I've had to kill this man in this horrible way. So, yeah, I can feel that. It'd be the teen daughter and the mother's teen years through flashback chapters. Basically, the idea of generational trauma and learning your parent as a person too. That is so interesting. That reminds me a lot of Holocaust fiction. Have you read any Holocaust narratives? There's a really good one. Oh, the book's up on my bookcase. If we have a break, I could go and find it. I know it's by Lisa... Oh, what was the last... Apanyegi? No, I think I butchered that. I can't remember her name. I think it's called like Awakening the Dead or something like that. I will find it during the break and I'll show it to you. But that is a book that is all about her as a I think she's American, and like a first generation American, but her family are Jewish, and grandparents, I think, lived through the Holocaust, and it's all about kind of that kind of generational trauma and how, kind of children react to the kind of trauma of grandparents and how it can influence like family dynamics for generations. So it's a really interesting book. Like I say, I'll find it out if you're interested, but I find that kind of thing really, really fascinating as well. Fantasy sounds like a good thing to do if you feel like it. Yeah, fantasy is so popular at the moment, isn't it? I think I was talking about this recently, that I think the thing is we all need escapism, and I think so many people want escapism at the moment, and fantasy gives you both the escapism and kind of like that rush, that dopamine hit as well. So I think that's why people like it a lot. If the Tudor one, it'll be development for the prologue. If contemporary mid drafting really struggling, so I could try pushing through. Yeah, I describe it as Ginny and Georgia meets Firefly Lane. Do you know, I know of Ginny and Georgia and I know of Firefly Lane, but I've never seen either of them. Which only mean anything if you've read or watched either. I haven't, but it's always good to have. I heard this from my tutor when I was doing the courses, basically saying know your references, like know your comparatives. And I think you being able to very clearly say it's Ginny and Georgia meets Firefly Lane, yeah, you've got to hope that the person who reads that has seen either of those shows or has read those books, but they're pretty popular. It's only me that's like a bit weird and doesn't watch like kind of mainstream TV very well. So most people will be able to have a very visceral, very kind of immediate sense of what that book is that you're writing when you use that. So he always said have really good comparisons like that if you're pitching or if you're developing the work or if you're telling people about the work that you're putting together. I'm leaning towards fantasy today. Yeah, whatever feels best. So again, maybe think about what you want to achieve today. So we're going to obviously be here for a couple of hours. I was thinking, I quite liked the way that we did it last week with little snippets of writing. But I think, did we do 10 minutes or 20 minutes last week? I probably should have gone back and rewatched the live stream to check, but I was thinking of doing 20 minutes this week, just so that we can really kind of get into it and have a really good headspace of time. So I think maybe so we did 10 minutes. Are you all okay if we do 20 minutes? So maybe start in a couple of minutes at 1:15. We'll do our first 20 minutes, and then at 25 to 2, we could then have kind of 10 minutes off to have a chat about what we've done. And then we can go into it again, if that sounds good. I need to get some music up and running because I wanted to embed Epidemic Sound into the live stream because I pay for Epidemic Sound for my YouTube channel, to be able to just have like a playlist so it wasn't the same song playing over and over again. But I'm not sure that I can do it, so I might have to look into that for the next. I might have to look into that for the next live stream, and in the meantime, I have downloaded a new piece of piano music. At least I thought I had. I tell you what, let's just go with the same that we had last week. Everyone was saying that it was a really nice piece of music, so let's just go with that for now. And then I will find a better way to do the music. Right, I think that's playing now. I'll just pause it for a second. And I want to turn the volume right down because that looked quite loud. Sorry if that assaulted your ears there temporarily. But yeah, let's give it another minute. And then we will go for 20 minutes of writing. Like I say, I'm going to be editing. I don't actually know how much 3,000 to 4,000 words is, so I might have a look at that and see how much it is. I have to say I haven't reviewed what I wrote from last Sunday's session. I've had a bit of a difficult week. My back, as you'll know, because I put posts on YouTube, has still been causing me a lot of trouble. So I've not really had much time to do any writing between now and then. But I'm really looking forward to today's session to get on with it. So I wish us all lots of words. Yes, I do as well. So shall we get going? I'll mute my mic and I'll pop the music on. We'll do 20 minutes and then we'll come back in at 25 to, and we can all check in and see where we've got up to and how we've been getting on. That sound okay? I wish us all lots of words. Right, how are we doing? How did we get on with that session? Mum's joined. I did see that you joined, Mum. I wrote a little message in so you didn't think that we weren't listening to you. And just reading back on messages. I had watched Ginny and Georgia and loved it. Ah, there you go. So my mum will get that reference. We were having a chat earlier about comparisons for books, and who was it? Sorry, I now need to look back. Gotham Whimsy, who was saying that one of her books that she's working on is a comparison of Ginny and Georgia meets Firefly Lane. So how did everybody get on in that session? I reviewed, I think, was it just chapter 1? Yeah, just chapter 1 I reviewed. And actually I made more edits than I thought I was going to do. I thought that I was only going to like really pass through chapter 1, because the thing is I've written chapter 1, I've edited it a few times, I've already presented chapter 1 once at the writing course that I was doing in autumn, and so I thought it would be a very quick flick through before I moved on to more stuff, and actually I found quite a lot of little bits and pieces to change. I'm writing this book in the present first person, which is the first time I've ever written anything in the present tense or in first person narrative, and so I'm finding that I keep switching tenses unintentionally, so I'm just trying to kind of be really tight on that when I go through and edit. I'm back. I filled a notebook page of notes on the prologue. Not bad going. Oh, that's good. That's really, really good. Was 20 minutes a good amount of time, or do you feel like we could do more? We could do less? How does kind of 20 minutes feel? I'm sorry as well that I had to blow my nose on stream while we were in the middle of that session. Something was irritating, just itching my nose. So, but I did it as demurely and discreetly as I could in the middle of that session. We still don't have a cat. Stanley's still not here. But, you know, at some point in this process, we may have a cat cam. First person is your chosen POV as well. It can be tricky to stay intense when you're writing in such close perspective, though. Yeah, I think that's the thing. And I think I have always written in past tense, so like he said, she said. And I think, but I did do some like studying of some of the books my favourite books that I like to read, and they were all in the first person. And I was like, right, okay, clearly for my genre and for my style of writing and my style of reading, first person is what I seem to gravitate more towards. So that's why I went for the first person for this one. I don't really know why I picked present tense, but it seems to feel more immediate, which is good. I've been continuing to write an opera. Well, the description of writing it anyway. I remember you saying this last week. 20 minutes is good for you both as well. Excellent. Well, that's good. Well, I think we'll have maybe another 5 minutes, and then when it gets to 1:45, we might do another 20-minute stint. How would that work out if we did 1:45 until 5 past? Then we'll have, yeah, because it breaks it down into like 30-minute like parcels, doesn't it? Then you have 20 minutes, then 10-minute chat. Yeah, we can do that. I am hoping as well to move things around. I know that I'm very much aware that I'm kind of looking at the camera 1 minute and then looking off camera next, and it looks a little bit odd. I would put my camera behind the live stream, which would allow me to kind of look at you and read all the live stream as well, but my background is really not attractive at the moment. We need to do some redecoration, and so this is the best, kind of the nicest angle to look at, so I hope you don't mind me kind of looking both ways at the moment. So yeah, while we have a little mental break, what has everybody been watching or reading? What are you either watching or reading at the moment? I haven't really been watching a lot. I need to start watching Bridgerton, because that came out this weekend, and I always do like a Bridgerton video on my channel. So I need to start watching Bridgerton. At the moment, I'm still reading The Strength of the Few by James Islington, which is a fantasy book. I'm really, really enjoying it, but it's such a big book. And with my back problems at the moment, I'm not really able to sit up in bed for very long to read, and I tend to read in bed. So I'm trying to get through that. I am also still pushing ahead with the 100 Books Over 100 Years second book. I feel so embarrassed that it has taken me this long to get to episode 2 of 100 Books Over 100 Years. I promise you, if I stay at this rate, it's gonna take me 100 years to read them. I'm not gonna do that. I think I need to come up with some kind of formula, like allowing myself to not finish it if I don't like it, because I've really struggled with this book. Let me catch up on chat and then I'll keep talking. My daughter and I bridged a new Bridgerton, and I finished House of Guinness. That was another one that I started and didn't finish. I'm still reading House of Dudley and just ordered a book on Edward Seymour and his wives. Yes, that sounds good. That sounds really good. Would that be a fiction or a non-fiction book that you've ordered? Yeah, I started watching House of Guinness. I think I watched like one episode with Tom, and then sometimes I just don't feel it. Tom's watched it all, I think, or he watched a few episodes of it. Non-fiction. Excellent. Yeah, I think what was I saying about? Oh yeah, the 100 books over 100 years challenge. So I think because the second book was, oh gosh, was it 1926? Did we start with 1925? I think we did. So 1926, it was Georgette Heyer, These Old Shades, the book's called, and I really struggled to get into it, and I'm still struggling to read parts of it at the moment. It's going to make a really interesting discussion, because it's kind of making me ask the question of how much historical accuracy is actually needed in the writing style of a historical book. Because quite frankly, I think that Georgette Heyer has almost made this book too historically accurate, to the point that it's actually really disturbing my ability to read the book. So it's a really interesting concept, something that I'm really looking forward to talking to you about in that next episode, which is going to be coming this next week. So I've got to finish it soon, or get as far through it as I can. At some point I just need to say, okay, I can't finish it, let's just get the video out. I've read enough to understand the writing style and understand the narrative now. But it's a really interesting one, and I really want to, because I really want to continue on with that series. I don't watch much really. Reading a good historical romance right now. Daft old bird that I am. What's the historical romance that you're reading? I love a bit of historical romance. I watched the first episode and wasn't impressed, but went back to it and really enjoyed it. I think you need to be in the mood for that kind of show, and I was expecting it to be more like Peaky. Yeah, I think that was the thing. I was a bit like that. I expected it to be a bit more like Peaky Blinders, and then I think you're right. I think you have to be in the mood for it, and I think it's a very dark show, and I find that with these kind of things, with dark shows, you have to watch them at night. Well, some nights I can be in bed by 7:30. Such an old person. I like getting into bed. I like being cozy. I like reading my book, and I don't necessarily want to stay up really late just so that it's dark enough to watch a TV show, if that makes any sense. As it's from the same team, yeah, the series definitely improves as it goes on. I'd give it a try. I think I'll definitely go back to it. I think I will go back to it at some point and watch it. It's called Thomas by Grace Burrows. I've not heard of her. Excellent. I've got such a pile that I need to read. I need to pick my 1927 book for 100 books, 100 years. I follow Nell Pattison, the author. I follow Nell Pattison on Instagram, and she put a picture on her Instagram stories the other day of a challenge that she's doing for 2026. It's 12 months / 12 books, and each one is from a different prompt. So the one for the first book of the 12, which I suppose could be January, but obviously I've started this challenge late, so I'm not going to be reading it in January, is a book with street in the name, a street in the title. And I've actually got a book on my to be read pile, that is The Watchmaker of Filigree Street by Natasha Pulley. Don't know if anybody's read that. So as that's got a street in it, I think that's going to be the next one that I will jump onto. I started The Silent House that you recommended in your 12 Books of Christmas on audiobooks, though it is read by 2 deaf narrators because characters in the house. Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, is it? Yeah, struggling to understand it a bit. That's excellent though. What about absolutely brilliant for representation, for having deaf narrators to read it out. I think that's really, really good. But yeah, excellent book. That's Nell Pattison I'm talking about. That is Nell Pattison who is doing this challenge, this reading challenge. So yeah, that's on my pile. What else have I got that I am waiting to Oh God, there's so much. I did a book advent calendar for Christmas this year. Has anybody ever done any of that before? Oh gosh, we're over time. Typical me, talking too much. Right, it's 1:45. Shall we go into the second writing session? We'll do another 20 minutes and then we will jump back on at 2:05. And maybe in that 10 minutes, we'll have a little off screen break and I'll go and find that book for you about Holocaust narratives. So let's get on with our second writing session and I'll see you at 2:05. Right, we're back again. Crikey. These 20 minutes are going fast, aren't they? Let me just rearrange in my chair. Sorry. Oh, I was waiting for that. Did you hear that creak? And that again. Sorry, it sounds like I'm passing wind. I promise you I'm not. It's the arm on my chair. The bolts come loose, and over time they come loose. And as they come loose and I rearrange myself in my chair, it can have a bit of an odd sound. So I'm sorry. Yes, I thought that was a very quick 20 minutes as well, I have to say. And I think that's a really good thing, though. I guess that's a good thing that we're all finding that, because it means that we're really getting into what we're doing, we're getting into our projects, and that can only be a good thing, right? I didn't quite get to the end of chapter 2. There's only like literally, I don't know if you can just see on camera, those 3 little paragraphs that you can just see underneath the cat cam. That's all I've kind of got to read of the rest of chapter 2. And then that'll be all right. I'm actually really happy with chapter 2. It takes place in and so the book itself, again, I don't really want to say too much about it, but it takes place mostly at an inn, and this scene was taking place in like the main room of the inn, and so I wanted to make sure that I was getting the description of the place, the dialogue of the characters, and kind of a sense of how it all related within the space. I kind of wanted to get all of that across, and I think it's okay. I think I'm happy with how it is for now. I think one of the things with writing, and I've come to learn this with doing my course and listening to other people's experiences and learning more about the publishing process and the editing process, is you can't ever think that your work is absolutely perfect and finished and it can never be touched, because inevitably, if you do manage to get an editor, that editor may want to change things, and then if that editor manages to get your book to a publisher, the publisher may want to change things, and so you've kind of got to get to a point where it's like, yeah, okay, I am happy with that as it stands at the moment. I am open to change if it wants to be changed at some point in the future. So yes, that's kind of how I am with things. I'm always going back and changing things. Yeah, I think for me, I tend to do that more at the beginning and not so much in the middle or the end. I mean, I haven't really done a full edit of a novel yet. This is obviously the second book that I've written, but it's the first that I am hoping that I finish and edit and actually want to send to an editor. But I have found that I can be really intense at the beginning of it, but then not so much as we go through. So that's what I found with the Lighthouse book anyway. Hopefully I'll be better with this one. What do people get up to in that session? And was it as productive as your first? I'll maybe give it a couple of minutes for us to have a chat and see how it went, and then I'll go off camera just for 5 minutes. We'll have a comfort break for 5 minutes, and then I will go and get that book, and then we'll finish. Then we'll continue. It's going so fast. It's going very fast. I do need to check just how many words. Like I say, I'm only submitting between 3,000 and 4,000 words, so I just need to. There's no point in me doing more than I need to in this session. That is 4,000 words. Okay. So actually I can just submit chapter 1 and chapter 2 for this course, the group that I'm working on next Saturday. Okay. Well, we've still got another 2. I think we've got another 2 sessions. So we start again at 2:15. Oh no. No, let's do 2 more. So if we start again at 2:15 and we'll go until 25 to 3, we'll have our 10 minutes. Maybe we'll have 5 minutes, and then we'll have like a last 15-minute session. I know it's not quite equal 20-minute sessions, but otherwise we're just kind of hanging around for like 15-20 minutes and talking, which I don't mind doing. But I'm also a bit like, are you here because you want to write and like do your projects and stuff? Don't just want to listen to me waffling on. I did a bit of hopping between books 2 and 3 to check previous writing for accuracy. So is that the stage that you're at with things? Is it like kind of final edits and kind of checking and that kind of thing? Or was that just something that you selected today because you felt like it would be like a manageable task to do? Making sure I don't contradict my own work continuity. Yeah, I think that's a really big thing, isn't it? And I've seen my sister message me the other day about a book that she was reading, and she said, oh, there's all these errors in it, like why are there so many spelling mistakes and stuff? And then Alison, Tom's mum, was reading a book while she was here over New Year, and she said that obviously in this particular book they must have changed the name of one of the characters halfway through writing it, because this person would be referred to as, I don't know, let's say Jessica, and then all of a sudden it'd be Sarah said XYZ, and Alison was like, but her name's Jessica, why are they calling her Sarah? So the author had obviously decided to change the name, but they hadn't quite got all of that continuity done. They hadn't managed to pick up every instance of Jessica, of Sarah, and change it, etc. But I think, to be honest, depending on, and obviously I don't know a lot about the publishing process because I haven't been through it yet, but like from what I understand, there can be things like continuity editors. Like you get different editors for different jobs. So you'll get maybe an editor who is grammar and kind of language and style and making sure that your commas are in the right place and all that kind of stuff. And then you'll get like just a general sense editor who will go through and check for continuities, check for things like, especially if you're writing a historical novel, are the dates that you've said actually right for the period? And Michael, the man who runs the writing group, even said that in some instances, those kind of continuity editors will go as far into looking at basically saying, you said that the 14th of April 1482 was a Friday, but actually it was a Tuesday. So they can go to like that level of detail from what I understand. I managed about the same amount. I'm outlining the prologue, which is basically going to put forward the premise for the plot and each major player. I feel like I need to make sure I include everything. That's interesting. What, when you say outlining the prologue, what is it, if you're happy to share, what is it within that prologue? When you say you need to get everything included, is it, because within the part of this course, there was a lot of conversations about prologue and whether prologues are still needed in books anymore. Just remind me, this book is fiction, this one, isn't it, that you're talking about with the prologue? These sprints are proving really helpful to make it feel manageable. Usually when I have open-ended writing sessions, I get overwhelmed and don't really make much progress. Yes. I'm so glad, so glad to hear you say that. Like, I really want to do things like this where we can connect like this and have a conversation, but I really want them to be useful as well. And I like this. I think, I'm sure you have come across them before, but Pomodoro writing sessions and videos on YouTube can be really, really helpful. They're kind of a similar format. You can find ones that are 20-10 or 30-10. Some people kind of tend to do 50-10. For me, doing a whole 50-minute session at once is too long for me. I will end up getting distracted. So 20 or 30 minutes are good for me. Yes, fiction. Basically, the king is dying and the council are deciding who they are going to back as his heir. And then with chapter 1, the story really begins. Yeah, sorry, I was just reading the chat, just making sure that I'd caught up. Yeah, so the king's dying in the prologue and the council are deciding who they are going to back as his heir. So how does chapter 1 start then? What happens right at the beginning of chapter 1? I'm just wondering if, rather than it being a prologue, you just that is chapter 1. But yes, that's a really great way to start. Like, straight into the action, like with the king. It's like, that is, they talk about the inciting incident, don't they? Like, the thing that really kind of kicks off your story. Like, why is it now? Like, why is it now that something's happening? If you think of something like the Hunger Games have been going on for years and years and years and years. But why is this particular Hunger Games the one that we read about in the book? And it's because Katniss ends up volunteering for her sister. That's the thing that is the inciting incident, because it's completely break from the norm. That's what is the change. And that sounds like this is what with your book, the king dying is the big change in the world, and that's why we're reading about it. Chapter 1 starts with them arriving at the house of the person they are backing. I like the idea of the prologue being third person, introducing the characters, then the POVs go first person. Oh, interesting. Yeah, very interesting. So when you say king, etc., is this is the fantasy one, isn't it? Is there a way for, I really like that idea, like the prologue almost to be like a herald news, or a conversation between two people that's like overheard, yeah. I actually, now you've explained it a little bit more about the third person introducing the characters, I think that will work really, really well, especially if there is maybe like a villain or somebody who is not there to do good in the whole process. If they can kind of like insert that kind of a little bit of that unease of that situation into it. I think that'd be really good. Oh, my hair's itching me today. It's just irritating me. Does anybody else get that? Like just a bit overstimulated by your own hair. It doesn't necessarily need to be read, but it'll give us much more perspective on the secondary players. It's really interesting, actually. I think if you pick up a copy of The Will of the Many by James Islington, which is fantasy, in the copy of the book that I've got, I read the whole book, and then at the very end, James Islington said, "This is the prologue that I wanted to insert at the beginning of at the beginning of the novel." He's like, "This is the prologue that I wanted to insert, but for whatever reason, it was cut from the final book." But he was like, "But it's so," he said, "I think it really gives in a lot of background to the main character's story and why we jump into the narrative when we do." And so he'd put the prologue at the end of the book. And like you're saying, if it doesn't necessarily need to be read, if it's optional, maybe that's something to consider. I don't know. It's interesting though. If you look at that James Islington book, you'll be able to see how he did it and why, and maybe have a look at your book and his. So his, it had been cut out and put at the end. Yours, you're keeping it in. How does that compare? As a little bit of a study. It shows that the heirs are just pawns in a bigger game, basically. Yeah. I didn't do a prologue, was straight in there with the two main characters. Hi, Emma. Thank you for joining. We are just about, in fact, we're going to start again with our next writing session in 3 minutes. I'm just going to go off camera just for a second. I'm going to go and get that book. So I'll just put my stream starting page back on for a second, and I'll go get that book before we start the next session. Right, I'm back. I like a prologue. I know they've fallen out of fashion, but I think as long as it does serve the plot, it's a fun thing to include. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And what I was saying about prologues, doesn't mean that you shouldn't have one at all. And I think I agree with you. I like them where it can be a fun thing. Yeah, definitely. I had a prologue with the Lighthouse book as well, and I really liked that. So this is the book that I was talking about. It's called Losing the Dead by Lisa Pignanese. Oh gosh, I know that I've ruined that. I'm not going to say her name again because I don't want to offend. But Lisa, and it's called Losing the Dead, a family memoir. And it says, as her mother slipped into the darkness of old age, Lisa began to realise how little she knew of the reality behind the tales she had heard since childhood. She had shunned her parents' stories of wartime Poland, but now she set out to find the truth. In her quest, she flew to Warsaw, imagining and revisiting a past she never knew. This is the moving, untold story of the Jews who survived outside the camps, but is also the author's own voyage of self-discovery, a family memoir of the rites of passage of emigration, childhood, and growing up an outsider in a closed community. So that's what it is, Losing the Dead. Absolutely brilliant book. Very difficult, obviously, very heart-wrenching. But yeah, I read it for the first time when I did a module on Holocaust literature at university, and yeah, I've kept this book ever since. I read it then. Yeah, very harrowing, but yeah, very, very interesting read, especially if you're interested in that kind of generational trauma. Definitely recommend it. Cool. Right, well, it's 2:20. Should we go into our next writing session? Should we start again? Oh gosh, sorry. just realised there was music on the back of all of that while I was talking. Sorry. The difficulty is with these headphones and the way I've got my OBS software set up is that I don't actually hear the music, so I just have to see it on camera. So I'm really sorry. I'm going to look into that for next week and see if I can work out how to be able to listen to the music myself through my software. But yeah, let's switch it back on. Let's go into writing mode and we'll have our next full 20-minute session of writing. Right. I thought I'd come back on. I lost track completely at the time. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Oh, does anybody else get that sometimes? You feel like you've got a sneeze trapped in your nose. Sorry, not the best time to come back. But the sneeze does not appear to be materialising, so we will just push forward. I think what I also need for next week's video, for the next live stream video, is I think I need some kind of countdown timer. Bear with me just 1 second. My eye is running. The pressure of holding in a sneeze. Yeah, I think I need a countdown timer. Would that be helpful? Would you guys find that helpful if there's a countdown timer to be able to help with counting down time. Yeah, because I think it'd help me, certainly, because it's a bit of a job, is managing the live stream, making sure that everything's working okay, and keeping an eye on comments, and then trying to do my actual project as well that I'm working on. So a countdown might help. Okay, cool. Yeah, I can look into that. I'm sure I've got an idea in my mind already of how I can create that as a little video, and then maybe it can have a little beep at the end when we get to 20 minutes or so. So how did that session go for everybody? I did a little bit of moving around of some of the content. I got to the end of chapter 2 and I've got halfway through chapter 3. In fact, I just need to mark, I'll just highlight that line as to where I got to. There we go. Just that I know. I've just highlighted. I don't know if you can just see underneath there. That, let's see if I can point in the right direction. There. That little bit of highlighting, just so that I remember where I edited up to. So I've got my 4,000 words now ready for the to send over to the group for next week's writing group. So I'm quite happy with what I've got down. I think when I presented 1,000 words at the group in autumn, it was okay. It was good. It was very kind of rough though. I'd written it literally like in the days before. So I think within the last 7 days leading up to that group session, I'd written it. So it was very raw. Whereas it does feel a lot more balanced. It feels like it's got good pacing. I feel like I've edited it okay. So I'm like nervous, but also like kind of intrigued to present it. I can't remember. Bye everyone. Oh, you going, Mum? See ya. No worries. I think, what time are we on now? We're on 20 to 3. Maybe, what do people want to do? Do you want like a last 10-minute session to wrap something up? If you've maybe stopped in the middle of something, do you want another 10-minute session, or do you just want to hang out for 20 minutes and talk? Let me know what you think would be best for you. You back, Goth? How did that go? How did that session go? Hey, don't apologise. Did you get distracted from what you were working on though, or did you get distracted from the live stream? I was in the middle of writing. You might not have been watching. But Tom came through. I had myself muted so I could talk to him. So I had that just and then I don't know if anybody noticed. I don't know if it was in this writing session or the last one, but I took a drink of squash and then choked on it. So it's a good job I'm muted, because I think I would have been the chaos in those sessions. Yeah, not very demure or mindful to be choking on a live stream. But yeah, I'm really happy with how, like I said, that session's gone for me. It went well. I found a way to close the prologue. Now I've got to decide character and location descriptions, etc. Interesting. How have you worked on how have you created like your world? What have you done in terms of like planning out your world building, etc.? Because I think this is I find it fascinating. Anybody who creates a world, how you put that together. How have you created that world? How are you note taking it, actually? Because this is something that I think I put a TikTok out about a week ago asking for any recommendations for people of like programs or notebooks or systems for noting down details. Like, how do you remember all of the information? Is it a notebook, or have you got something more like concrete set up? Because again, with mine, because it's a historical book, it's set in 1689, I'm kind of having to come back and think, oh, I know I asked this question about like what time of year it is or what thing, but I've not got a good notation system. I've not got it all written down very well. So I feel like there's potential at the moment for me to write inconsistencies into my book because I don't have it all written down properly. So how do you do that? I've realised that I need to make a timeline note. Yeah. Do you need to do a timeline of events and then a timeline of the book events, if that makes sense? Like, do you need a timeline of like the history of the kind of the world, the history of the world that you're writing, and then do you need a timeline of the events of the book? Because I know that sometimes things chop and change a little bit. I don't use AI for writing, however, I do use AI to create images for characters and places or scenes to help inspire me. Yeah, I know a few people who do that. The only thing I would say is just be very, very, very careful about anything like that, because the publishing industry is really wanting to crack down on the use of AI. So I don't think, obviously, I know you're not using it to write in any way. I don't know what their stance is around using it for inspiration. That's the other thing I would say is just be careful with it. But yeah, I like things like that. I like the idea. The concept of it is a nice idea to be able to say, this is kind of what I'm thinking. Can you visualize it for me? It's just the way it's done, isn't it? Because obviously AI has to draw on other artists in order to create art. It's a don't get me into an AI discussion. I could talk about AI forever. I have what I call my book Bible, which is a Google Doc set up as a file of information relating to characters, locations, etc. And I have notebooks that I brainstorm in, but once something is decided, it goes in the Bible, which I will use for reference. So with that Bible, how organised is it? Is it like, have you got subsections? Is it like quite meticulously thought out, or is it more of like a brain dump space? Because I've got Notion, and I think I just need to probably spend some time, maybe on next week's live stream, I could spend some time just like really categorizing my Notion and getting that, because the thing with Notion is you can have pages embedded within pages, which would be quite handy. So I could have like a page about historical information or like characters, and then on that character page I could have a sub page for each of my characters. I need to timeline the years to keep the character ages in check. Yeah, little things like that. It's, you don't think of it, do you, when you're reading a book and it's got all of that stuff like perfectly done, but then you start to write something like that and you realise the amount of like back behind the scenes work that must have gone on. Think about something like Game of Thrones with George R.R. Martin. Like, he must have so many like planning documents and things laid out everywhere, or he's just exceptionally good at winging it. I pick a person, actor, or some such that I apply to the character for my own personal reference, so I can visualise someone mainly for continuity. Yeah, that's a really good idea. I'm not doing that at the moment for any of my characters, and so I feel like I probably need to do a really clear visual description again, maybe in my Notion, so that I can go back to it. When I'm writing, I'll have a Google sheet that will keep the timeline organised by season, chapter, etc. That's really, really clever. I use the tabs, one tab for characters, then sub-tab for each character. I have the same for regions. Oh, right, so is it a Google Doc? Is it like a spreadsheet then? And you have tabs along the spreadsheet for each thing? That's a really good idea as well. Yeah, I think I just need to get my Notion back up and running properly. It's not very well organised at all. It just became a little bit of a brain dump, really. But I think that could be used. For example, with existing places, my tab would be Hertfordshire, with subtabs saying St Albans, and in that I'll have sections for general info, economy, and then places like St Albans Cathedral. Wow. I mean, that is excellent. That's exactly the kind of level of kind of detail and research you need to go down to, isn't it? I fear that I have not done that yet. And I'm going to have to do that at some point to make sure that my book feels like it sits nicely within the historical time period and within the world that I'm writing. God, I've also used an actor or two for visual similarities. Yeah. I think a lot of people do that. I've seen a lot of writers do that. I use free software because of budget, but would also love to get Scrivener at some point, mainly for ebook formatting. Right, I bought Scrivener, and I got the free version originally, and then I paid for the official version, and I do think it is excellent. However, I don't feel like you need it initially. Like you say, mainly for the book formatting, I think. I am writing the current novel, my new novel, in Google Doc, just Google Word Doc. But at some point I will then move it into Scrivener. So I don't know if you've already had a free trial. If you've not, then I would suggest waiting to do the free trial to the point when you are ready to format it. And then you can do all your formatting during the free trial without having to pay for it. Pinterest is my friend in this regard. Yes. Yeah, Pinterest is really good for being able to put like visual, almost like mood boards together. But the thing with Pinterest is, and I don't know if you guys have found this as well, I hate how many adverts there are on Pinterest now. So what I've started doing is using Canva to like make up mood boards on Canva, and finding images wherever I can on the internet and then saving them and dragging them into Canva so that I can have like a mood board set up, just because I don't like the ads on Pinterest. They just wind me up. The The thing I like with Google Docs is a sync in between devices. Yeah, that's why I started writing this novel on Google Docs, because actually, really weirdly, I started writing this book on my phone. I have never done any writing on my phone before, but we were on his way. I think actually our very, very first bits of text that I got down were done on my phone in bed one day. I can't remember why. Maybe I wasn't feeling very well. Anyway, I put like maybe 300 words down on paper, and then and then we were going down to South London to see some friends, and obviously we were in the car for like four odd hours, but I had this deadline of I had to write something to present to the writing course, so I just did it on my phone, like on Google Docs on my phone, and I wrote it, and I was like, this feels really weird, but it worked. It helped me got like 1,000 words out onto my phone. My job is remote, so being able to use my phone to access the doc when I'm at someone's house working is real helpful. Yeah. I write poetry on my phone, usually at silly o'clock when I can't sleep. Yeah. I just think it hadn't occurred to me before, but Senlin Yu, who wrote Manacled, and then she also wrote Alchemised, she apparently wrote the whole of Manacled in the notes section of her phone when she was breastfeeding her child. Yeah. So I think phones are more used than we think, really. I mean, I often think of like it being too small a screen for me to write on, but actually I like the idea of just being able to kind of like tap away as I'm thinking. So yeah, I've done that as well. Well, it's nearly 10 to, so we might as well just have another little bit of a chatting session until 3 o'clock when we finish. Are you all happy with 2 hours? Would you like to do one that's maybe a little bit longer? Maybe not next week. The other thing to say is that I'm going to do the session. Sorry, I'm not entirely sure I'm going to do a session next week. Sorry, is what I'm trying to say. So I've got my group on Saturday afternoon from 1 until 3 where I'm presenting my work and talking about it, which then means that takes up most of my Saturday afternoon, and then Sunday, if I did this as well, it would take up pretty much most of my weekend. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do one next week. Are any of you around during the week, like say Friday afternoon or Friday morning, where we could maybe do one? Is that something that you would be up to do? Willow Winters and other self-published authors use their phone notes apps while feeding their babies. Yeah, exactly. It's a handy way to draft. I'm happy with it every time you have to share this. Oh, bless you. Thank you. Any amount of time. I think I like 2 hours. I like 2 hours. I think I could go up to 3 hours quite easily, but I don't think I could do more than 3 hours because it's quite intense, like keeping on top of the live stream and everything. But I could do 3 hours, but maybe the next time we do one, we'll continue with 2 hours, but I'll maybe get the timer up. And if we use the timer, then we can see if that helps to keep it a little bit tighter so that we can get definitely like at least 3 good 20-minute writing sessions put in. So maybe we try it with the timer. I'm thinking maybe, let me have a look at my calendar for the week, because I'm thinking maybe we go for Friday next week, the 6th. Is that, do I have that time available? Yeah, so I could do Friday the 6th, maybe from 1 till 3. My schedule's pretty flexible with days, etc. So as long as I have a bit of notice, I can block out the time and the husband doesn't schedule me something. I'm at home during the day. Evening would be difficult if I was moderating on YouTube. Oh, are you a mod? Are you a YouTube mod? That's interesting, because I think if these do start to get a little bit more... kind of, if we could get more people on, and I do need to have some help with the live chat, with the live stream and keeping on top of the chat, I might come to you if you do modding for other people. Yeah, to be honest, I probably wouldn't want to do an evening either. But Fridays, like I said, because my freelance work, the way that I've done it since I've had all this upheaval with my work and job and everything, is that I'm working 4 days a week. And then my 5th day of the week, I am ring fencing for content creation and writing. So this Friday, I think I've got a couple of hours of freelance work in the middle, just because I've got to take all of Tuesday off work just for personal reasons. So Friday, the freelance work kind of slightly spreads into Friday morning. But then from about 11 o'clock on Friday, I'm doing all of my kind of content creation and writing. So we could do Friday from 1 till 3. Thank you. That's excellent. Yeah, I'll definitely bear that in mind if we get to the point that we've got some extra some extra people, and I just need that bit of extra support with the live streams, I'll definitely let you know. I wrote a guide called Mod School. That sounds ace. I'd probably like to read that if we get to that point. Definitely. Okay, let's go with Friday then. So Friday the 6th, 1 till 3. I'll pop some posts out on all my social media so other people can be aware of what's coming as well. And we'll do a couple of hours. We'll do the timer over the top and see how that goes, and then we'll go from there. It does mean that I won't be able to tell you the results of my work being presented to the writing group, but I'll do that in the weeks after the live stream. The week after, I'll let you know how it all goes. So yeah, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about? Anything else in your writing, or anything like that you wanted to bring up? I follow you on the Book of Faces, as I call it. That makes me think of Game of Thrones. I don't know why, but the Book of Faces, like when what's her face changes faces all the time. Yeah, Book of Faces is good. The Insta-G. I was putting stuff up on TikTok, but I don't want to put it up on like my main grid on TikTok, so I've been putting it up on my TikTok stories. I don't know how many people see that. In fact, if anybody is watching this on the VOD, as they call it, the video on demand later, obviously not on the live stream, if you have seen this on TikTok and that's how you've come to watch this, let me know, because it'd be really handy for me to be able to see how people are coming to these live streams, because obviously we'd like to create, I've said this before, I'd like to create this little community of people who are wanting to write, wanting to work on any kind of project. I mean, primarily writers, but you could be an artist, you could be a video creator, you could even be a crafter, and it's like a craft project and you're just looking for a little bit of accountability on a weekly basis where you can come, you can have a nice chat with people, and feel like you're making progress with projects. So that's kind of what I want to create here. So it'd be nice to know where people are coming from and how you're finding these videos, so that I can get them out to more people. I don't get on well with TikTok. It never lets me follow anyone. Oh, that's weird. Wonder if that's a glitch in the setup in some way. To be honest, it's a weird one. I like it in so much as I can see, for things like books and book talk, I think, and writing and kind of meeting other like-minded writers and book people, I can see how much of a potential it has to bring people together, especially from like around the world. I can really see the beauty of that, but there's this really dark side of it as well, in terms of like the way that people react with people, the bullying that can happen, the way that content is misused and misrepresented, and the algorithm. I mean, I've caught TikTok out like trying to literally get me to click on like fake news stuff, and it's just icky, isn't it? It's just icky. But unfortunately it is social media, and I do think, like I said, I do think Book Talk itself has had a really good impact on book selling. I did an event at Waterstones in February last year for International Random Day of Kindness in February, and the lady that I was talking to at that Waterstones branch was saying that she's seen the impact of Book Talk on their sales. Like, their sales have gone up since Book Talk has happened, and they've got like Book Talk sections in the shop now. So it's obviously got very positive kind of impacts as well. Yeah, I can see the benefits of TikTok, but the algorithm requires more time than my mental health can handle. Absolutely, in order to be visible. Yeah. Me and Kayla, I don't know if Kayla's still around. She had popped into the live stream earlier. Me and Kayla talk about this all the time, about kind of TikTok and like the ability to kind of get caught in your own doom scroll, really. Also, the amount of AI generated false news on there right now it absolutely is. It's absolutely terrifying, and the more terrifying thing is how many people believe it. Like, the number of things I see on there, and I'm like, well, that's AI. I know that's AI because I can tell. And you scroll through the comments, and it's truly shocking to see. My daughter really got back into reading from Book Talk, though, which I will always be grateful for. Exactly. I mean, nothing's ever black and white, is it? This is something that does annoy me about social media, is that people will argue a point as if something is so literal, it's so black and white, and everything is nuanced, isn't it? Again, Kayla and I were talking recently. There was a girl on Book Talk who basically said that fantasy readers, or romantasy readers, not fantasy, romantasy readers, she basically called them stupid, and kind of said that they needed to go back to university and learn how to critically engage. And it just blew up book talk. Everybody was like really, really upset with her for saying it. And I can understand why, because like everything, it's such a nuanced argument in terms of like reading is something that we do for escapism because we love it. And actually, it shouldn't matter what that book is that you are reading. If you are having fun, if you're enjoying yourself and you are getting something out of it, it shouldn't matter whether that's a classic, whether it's an 800-page, serious book by a Russian author, or whether it's a romantasy book. It really doesn't matter. But people were just either really hard on one argument or really hard on the other. And Kayla and I were talking about it, we were like, but it's such a nuanced conversation. It's such a nuanced thing. I'm happy sticking with YouTube and Facebook. That is more than enough for me. Yeah, I think I've had this as well because I work in marketing. I also obviously do a lot of looking around at marketing strategies and this, that and the other. And the overarching message is do less but do it well. So don't feel like you have to promote across every single platform, but those platforms that you are on, do them well. And I sit here saying that, knowing that I am not the best at that. I am not the best. I need to be more consistent across all of my platforms. But I also, for me, I can't let go of Facebook because Facebook is my target demographic for my non-fiction books. My non-fiction books do seem to do better with an older demographic. My fiction writing will go across Instagram. Instagram, I feel personally, slightly replaced Twitter in terms of the industry, is there now. And then TikTok, because there is so much book talk stuff going on there, I don't feel like I can get rid of TikTok either. So it's really hard. It's really hard. I've got to kind of like keep all three, but I just need to be better and more consistent. I'm hoping that now I've got this like 1 day ring fence per week for me to work on my writing and my content creation. Then I'm hoping that I can become more consistent across all three. It's also getting far too realistic in some ways. Is that the AI? Because you're true. You're absolutely true. It is. I'd love to do a collaboration with you at some point. Ooh, what about? What would it be about, Emma? Reading music, in fact, any art is a very personal thing. What one person loves, another one doesn't like, and that's okay. Exactly. That's okay. Do you know what? I hate this kind of judgment around reading. It's one of the reasons why I'm not on Goodreads, because I don't believe that you should be reading for like an approval rating or for like, I've read X number of books this year. That whole kind of, I just find it a bit strange. There's no judgment against people if they enjoy it. If that is a way to incentivise them to be able to read more, then I get that. I just think I put my thoughts and opinions on Goodreads. It doesn't really matter what anybody else thinks about that book because I enjoyed it. So, but it's interesting, isn't it? Because I know that reviews are often what other people will use. Oh, I sometimes I struggle to get my words out of my brain and into my mouth, but like I understand that people will use reviews to kind of decide whether it's something that they want to read. And at the same time, reviews are so subjective that, yeah, you can never truly know if you're going to enjoy something, can you? Oh dear, I feel like I got on a little soapbox then. I need to get back off it again. Yes. Right, how are we all feeling? It is 3:00. We've officially got through another 2-hour writing session. Well done for everything that you've achieved this week and things that you've for everything that you've worked on. It's been a really lovely hangout. Again, I'm really enjoying these. I know I've only done 2 so far, but I've really, really enjoying them so far. So yes, we'll be back on Friday, 1 till 3 p.m. And again, I'll pop everything out on social media so you know when it's coming. I've got a video that I'm going to do for Thursday. Like I said, that is going to be the next 100 books, 100 years video where I will be reviewing and talking about These Old Shades by Georgette Heyer. So that is, it's not too long a video, but it's where I sit down, I talk about the book a little bit, and then mainly I kind of review the style. So what I'm doing with the 100 books over 100 years, if you're not familiar with the series, is I'm reading 100 books from over 100 years, and evaluating the style, how the writing style has changed, how books have changed, and I think this one's going to be really interesting. So yeah, that's Thursdays, and then I'll be back on Friday for the live stream. So thank you all for being here. Thanks again, for coming 2 weeks in a row, because it's been excellent to have a chat about things and to work on our stuff. So yeah, I will leave it here. Thanks again for another great writing stream. I'll see you at the next one. Thank you again, and yeah, I will see you next week. Okay, bye.